I think I first met with the class on July 13th of last year. I think that's right. And made some comments to you at this time. As Rebecca said, maybe you didn't quite know what you were getting into at that point. But I hope all of you have enjoyed this experience. I've had an opportunity to talk to a number of you, and you've told me that it's been a great experience. This professional development effort is a little different from any other that I've ever seen because it really focuses on core competencies that have been identified that we need in the Department of Safety and Homeland Security. And to my knowledge, I don't know of any other professional development effort that really focuses on core competencies the way this did. So it really makes this effort somewhat unique. Now, what I'd like to do today is just share with you some observations, some advice. And of course, this is the first class. For me, it will be the last class as commissioner. Because I'm going to be moving on at the end of August and taking on some new responsibilities. Now, having said that, I'm still going to be a state employee. I'm going to be at the University of Memphis as the director of the new Public Safety Institute there. And my hope is that in that new capacity, still as a state employee, that I will have many opportunities to be interacting with many of you who will be in leadership positions in the Department of Safety and Homeland Security. I certainly hope that. But I want to today just to kind of give you some kind of off-the-cuff advice. Well, it's not off-the-cuff. Actually, I'm pretty consistent in my advice, and I probably told you this back July 13th of last year. But just some advice about some things you ought to keep in mind in your leadership positions. And when I look at the 5 competencies that you have focused on over the last year, I think this advice applies to almost every one of them. First of all, you may, on many occasions, be the smartest person in the room. One of you is the smartest person in the room today. I don't know which one. But you may very well find yourself in that position. But don't ever think you're the smartest person in the room, and don't ever act like you're the smartest person in the room. Be a good listener. Show humility. I think that's a very, very important quality in any leader. One of the things I have enjoyed the most as commissioner is going around the state, meeting with our troopers in the various districts, going to our driver services centers, a lot of times surprise visits, and they say, oh no, here he comes. But I have enjoyed doing that because it's an opportunity for me to interact with troopers across the state, with employees and driver services centers across the state. And the more they're willing to tell me what they think and their observations about the good and the bad of the department, the more it helps me. And I think it's important for all of us as leaders to be good listeners because as a result of that, we'll get a lot of good ideas. I can tell you that on many of our visits to district THP headquarters and talking to the troopers, Colonel Trott and the other members of the command staff and I have left those meetings with a lot of good ideas as a result of listening to what troopers had to say. Number 2, I want to piggyback on what Rebecca said, and that is view your lives as a learning experience from this day forward. Being a lifetime learner is very, very important. And of course, your participation in this is a reflection of your commitment to that. It's something that all of us have to work at because we get very consumed in our day-to-day activities and so on and just trying to get through that checklist of things we need to do. But it's incumbent, I think, on all of us to also set aside some time to learn new things so that we can develop more professionally. And all of us need to work at that. Number 3, remember that as leaders you need to set the example. Other people watch what you do and what you don't do within the Department of Safety and Homeland Security, but within the public as well. So it's important that you set the example in terms of your work ethic, and in terms of just how you behave. So I urge all of you to behave yourselves, because you are setting the example for others. Number 4, I want you to have a sense of urgency about what you need to do, but not a sense of panic. So I'm looking here at Captain Johnson. So Jimmy, you just happened to be in front of me. I could have just as easily singled out Dwayne here. So, you know, we have made great progress over the last 5 years in reducing traffic fatalities. When you look at the 50-year period, 5 of the 6 lowest traffic fatality years in the last 50 years have been the last 5 years during this administration, and we really focused on that. But we're seeing an increase this year, and we're concerned about it. So, as captain of the Memphis District, I want you to have a sense of urgency about reducing those traffic fatalities, but not a sense of panic. Because if you have a sense of panic, those under your supervision will sense that. On the other hand, if you have a sense of urgency and are focused on it, they'll sense that as well. A good example of that, I think, during 9/11 was Mayor Giuliani of New York. And I've heard him talk about this some. During that major national crisis, everybody was pretty panicked, and you could tell it. But Mayor Giuliani got a lot of credit for being kind of the calm within the eye of the storm, of really being focused on what needed to be done. And I've heard him talk about this, and he really emphasized the importance of not panicking during any kind of emergency or crisis, being focused and really figuring out what to do, having that sense of urgency, but not having that sense of panic. So I hope you will keep that in mind as well as you go about your task, whether, Dwayne, it's a Homeland Security issue, or whether, Jimmy, it's the number of fatalities you're seeing in your district, or whether it's increasing wait times in our driver services center. Have a sense of urgency to address it, but be focused and plan your work and work your plan. So those are just some things that come to mind that I wanted to share with you. My guess is when I talked to you last July 13th, I kind of said a lot of the same things. I'm fairly consistent on that. But again, I want to thank you for your interest in being part of this class, and also congratulate you. So it's good to be here with you, and while I will not be commissioner for the next class, I hope I'll be attending future graduations as well. Thank you.